So the FBI showed up the other morning at Rudy Giuliani's house. They came in with a warrant and took his electronic devices. He is the third attorney who served former President Donald Trump to get that treatment. Interesting. We talked to the former New York City mayor about it at some length last night.
There was a big bang, bang, bang on the door, and outside were seven FBI agents. I said, well, don't you want these? And they said, what are they? I said, those are Hunter Biden's hard drives. And they said, no. I said, are you sure you don't want them? I mean, the warrant required them to take it. And they said, no. There is no justification for that warrant. It is an illegal, unconstitutional warrant.
So Giuliani said he had no idea the raid was coming. One group who did know it was coming was the Lincoln Project, the Democratic Party campaign group, the guys who covered up for child molestation. You may remember them. They got an early notice from the Justice Department. They're kind of in on it. The President of the United States was asked, and he said he had no idea the raid was coming.
Were you aware of that raid before it happened?
I give him my word I was not. I made a pledge. I would not interfere in any way, order, or try to stop any investigation the Justice Department had underway. I learned about that last night when the rest of the world learned about it.
So, Juan, the basis of our justice system, of justice itself, is the equal application of it. Laws apply to everyone equally. The warrant said the FBI showed up at Giuliani's door because he had violated FARA. He'd been lobbying for people in Ukraine without registering as a foreign lobbyist. What's so interesting to me is we know for a fact, it's not speculation, that the president's son lobbied for Ukraine and did not register. He was paid an awful lot of money to lobby his dad. Again, that's not up for debate. We know that. He's admitted it. How is this not unequal application of the law?
Well, I think he was working for a Ukrainian company, Tucker. I don't think he was lobbying. So, I mean, that's your take on it, but I don't think that's the government's take. I mean, I think it's important in this segment that we, clear all the smoke out of the room here, because it seems to me that Rudy Giuliani appears to be in very serious trouble. All this talk about, the prosecution's being unfair or it's not equal application of the law, it's a lot of smokescreen, and it's to play to the court of public sympathy. But this is not going to be on cable TV. He's going to be in a court of law, it looks like. It looks like they're going to bring an indictment against this man. And I just worry for him in that sense because, when you think about it, we had reports out today in the Washington Post and from NBC saying that the Trump FBI warned Giuliani in 2019 that he was being used by, well, I guess Russian, agents to spread dirt about Joe Biden. And they told him this was a danger to him. But he continued. And then he continued what you just described. He continued to lobby the Trump White House to get rid of Marie Yovanovitch. I don't know if I'm saying that quite right, but she was the U.S. ambassador to the Ukraine without registering as a lobbyist, and that's what that's what the warrant was for.
Now, I'm not on the show much, so I'm not sure the rules. So rather, I'm going to ask your follow-up to the great Katie Pavlich. So, Katie, Juan has just said, and you're hearing other people say this, that the difference is that Hunter Biden wasn't lobbying for anyone in Ukraine. Then what was he doing if he wasn't lobbying? If he wasn't lobbying his father specifically, then the vice president, was he applying his deep knowledge of, I don't know, Eastern European energy business practices? Why would they have hired Hunter Biden in Ukraine except to lobby? Sincere question.
That's precisely why Hunter Biden was hired by a foreign oil and gas company while his father was the vice president in charge of the Ukraine profile. I mean, that's the entire point. It's influence peddling. It's buying someone off literally to gain influence inside the United States government as his father is the vice president. And when it comes to equal application of the law and this idea that these agents apparently, according to Rudy Giuliani, didn't want Hunter Biden's hard drives, there's evidence of crime on those hard drives that we have seen. I mean, whether it's lying on the background check form, applying for a firearm, whether it's doing drugs and a number of other things that are on that laptop that we can't even really show on TV because it's so atrocious and lots of illegal things are happening there. And so, yes, the number one reason why he was hired was, of course, to lobby on behalf of Ukraine to influence policy because of who he was connected to. And he even said during that interview that the reason he got hired is because his last name was Biden. And that's why he was hired.
It's amazing. Just because there are, hundreds of countries in the world, but both these guys worked with Ukraine. So Jesse Waters, this is by our count, at least the third attorney who worked personally for Donald Trump, who had communication with Trump, grabbed by the Justice Department. Are you sensing a theme here?
Yeah, I don't think Trump's ever going to be able to hire another attorney. That's a death wish. But to Juan's point, Juan, he did lobby his dad. We saw the emails. He set up meetings with Burisma officials. That's already on the record. So that's case closed. When I saw this raid, I thought to myself, this is just payback for Rudy blowing up the president's son's scandal. And then they're going to go in there and they're going to seize his electronics and they're going to have a roadmap to see how the scandal happened, and then they can mop it up. There's no way Hunter's ever going to get charged with anything by Biden's Department of Justice, and everybody knows that now. And everybody also knows for a FARA violation, you don't kick down doors and seize people's computers. You do that for drug traffickers or flight risks. You don't do that for a FARA violation, which is basically you let your maybe license get expired or your registration on your car lapses. If anything, you might have to pay a small fine. But Mueller, he's been using this against the Trump people to sink his teeth in, and then he lays perjury traps. And this is what Joe and Obama did to everybody. Remember, they targeted the Tea Party. They took out Petraeus and Chris Christie with fake scandals because they were going to run for president. And then they sent undercover agents into the Trump campaign and wiretapped them with doctored warrants. And Biden himself cooked up the fling sting. And you're not seeing a pattern here? I mean, come on, these guys are brutal. These guys are rough.
So, Greg, do you think the next time the FBI raids your apartment, they'll tip off the Lincoln Project before they do?
I don't know. That is a good question. I will say this. Joe Biden says he was not aware of the Giuliani apartment search. I would probably say that's probably true because he probably also wasn't aware of the date and where he was and what happened to his pants. And I do not blame the FBI for not wanting to touch Hunter's hardware. And for obvious reasons, they didn't want to catch anything. These aren't just computer viruses all over that keyboard. But to the bigger point, we have to remind people who Rudy is and was. I mean, this is a guy who saved the greatest city that once was the greatest city of all time. But he perhaps might be the greatest mayor, I think, in history. There's a lot of people you see on TV now, a bunch of liberals that are trashing him, who wouldn't probably be here in New York if it wasn't for the fact that New York was made safe and made to be the #1 tourist attraction in the world. I know this has nothing to do with whatever happened in that apartment, but we're living in a funhouse mirror of America when a guy did so much for this country is being ransacked, and meanwhile Hunter Biden is going to Tulane to teach undergrads how to buy crack on a street corner.
Nicely put.
Thanks.
Just ahead, an awful...
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.